How many times do we have to say, go to the market and buy a fucking defensive midfielder? How many times do we have to say, go to the market and buy a better central midfielder, better than Granit Xhaka? That performance against Manchester United has not been the worst we are going to see this season. I don't think we played really poorly, but my questions and my highlights, my key points in that game surround themselves on two roles: the defensive midfield and the central midfield. Xhaka is never going to play for you consistently throughout the campaign. He's never going to give you those beautiful performances, 38 games in a campaign. And the fact that we only have Albert Sambi-Lokonga, the fact that we know well, and we knew very well that Thomas Partey is some guy with some broken legs that you can only repair for 2-3 games. He comes in and then he goes back into the sick pay. And we didn't bring in a defensive midfielder. These kind of performances are really going to happen. And for me, I'm absolutely blown away by the fact that Manchester United have actually blown us away. This was a no context. Forget about the spells of possession. Those were harmless spells of possession by Arsenal. Literally, Man United won the game before it started. And I really, really love you, Erik ten Hag, because you've literally showed us all the holes, all the weaknesses of this Arsenal team. If you're an Arsenal fan and you're deluded, don't watch this video, because it literally doesn't serve any importance to you. This is... look, I want us to talk about this Arsenal side and the deficiencies that we had last campaign and the deficiencies that we had in January that we failed to address in January, reasons as to why we didn't qualify for the UEFA Champions League, and reasons again that Man United completely blow us away. Listen, we have lost to one of the worst Manchester United side in history. And they absolutely outclassed us. Erik ten Hag, what a genius. What an absolute genius. Because, listen, if Arsenal come into this game playing Steven Gerrard, playing Frank Lampard, playing whoever there is, all those kind of shit managers, and they have this Man United side, Arsenal win this game 4-1, and we'll be jumping on the streets, Arsenal are back again. But what a way to end your 100% record by Man United. Erik ten Hag literally showing you've been playing around, you've not been tested, and when you come here, you're literally not going to do anything. And we did nothing in that game. I don't want to hear anyone talk about the referee. I don't want to hear any excuses. There are two reasons as to why we will not win as many games as we should this campaign. And there are two reasons as to why we didn't win that game. A defensive midfielder that we were scrambling to get on deadline. It's embarrassing. I say this. It's absolutely embarrassing. It's humiliating that you have a problem. It's kind of having a disease for 10 years. And then, when the doctors say you have 1 day to die, you spend all the money. You want to spend all the money on a disease that you've spent with 10 years. It's fucking ridiculous, right? And that's what I've done in this window. Oh, we are panicking now. We want a defensive midfielder. That's fucking shambles. That is a fucking shambles. Go out there, day one of the window, getting a defensive midfielder. There were so many in the market. And Chelsea, literally, Chelsea with a Jorginho, with N'Golo Conte, pulled a Zakaria deal off. Interesting. Very, very interesting. We talked about a central midfielder being up a priority. We talked about an upgrade on Xhaka. We talked about Yuri Tielemans as the priority. We talked about Tielemans today, Tielemans tomorrow, Tielemans in June. And where the fuck is Yuri Tielemans? Because you need an upgrade in that midfield. We had a lot of possession. Martin Odegaard was not creating anything in that game. You needed someone creating chances from deep. That is the role of Xhaka. I mean, he has been very, very fantastic in the first games. But because we've been doing well, the club has been absolutely on fire. But Xhaka does not put in performances when you actually ask him. He only puts in performances because the team is doing well. Because I looked at this team and I was like, if Odegaard doesn't create the next thing, what is going to happen? And nothing. Nothing happened. I'm really, really fuming. I'm not fuming at Mikel Arteta. I think he got this absolutely wrong, especially on the substitutions. What is he doing there? Taking off Martin Odegaard, taking off Albert Sambi-Lokonga, and I'm in my opinion, I'm like, what is he doing here? You've brought in, you've taken off Zinchenko, best player on the, in the match for me. Alexander Zinchenko, best player in the match. You've taken him off. You've taken off Albert Samlekonga, the only guy, the only kind of, protection you had, and then you've taken off Martin Odegaard, the creative, the only creative guy you have. And you brought in Emile Smith-Rowe. Emile Smith-Rowe is not a bad player. I love him. But this season, and Mikel admitted it as well, he's not yet there. In terms of fitness, in terms of catching up with the squad mentally and all that, he's not the guy you bring in, you bring on in such kind of a game. Eddie Nketiah, I will agree. I think Eddie Nketiah has a ridiculous work rate, and we needed someone like that on the forward line. So I will agree with that. But I don't agree with bringing on Fabio Vieira for the first fucking time against Man United at the Old Trafford. That's a fucking shambles. Give him 30 minutes at the at the Emirates Stadium versus Aston Villa. Then you bring him in against Man United. He has failed. He has felt some experience of the Premier League, but not in a game where we are desperately trying to win. Not in a game where Man United equaled us and even became better. 3-1. The scoreline depicts what happened. And I know many Arsenal fans will be really, really disappointed. We should have picked up a point there. But, at times this is a blessing in disguise. I really pray and I hope that I would have wished this performance to come before the window closed. Because if you cannot get a defensive midfielder when you lose 2 of your primary players, right? Then I don't know what you're doing. You literally don't know what you're doing. So are we to wait until January? Are we to wait until the summer to get a defensive midfielder, to get a central midfielder? That was our priority since January. We talked about Arthur Melo, we talked about Isco, we talked about someone in midfield. And we said, we all agreed in the summer that if we had brought in a midfielder, somehow it takes us to the UEFA Champions League. But we all agreed to settle for less, and we went into the Europa League. But somehow, we don't pull that one off. We don't get the central midfielder we wanted, and we do not get the defensive midfielder that highlighted himself as a key signing. Forget everyone else, right? I think the wingers have been absolutely fine. Saka got a goal today. Gabriel Martinelli got a goal that, in my opinion, it should be standing because that era is not really. I don't think that is a big era to cancel a goal, to pull it back and then cancel a goal. But anyway, we know VAR referees, they do have fucking shambles, and this week has been a fucking shambles for them. But for me, there is no reason to go on the referee. There is no reason to take out my anger on the referee. My anger goes back to the transfer market because these boys that are playing for this Arsenal side are being let down by the signings. You've done too early, Zinchenko and Gabriel Jesus. You know what you need, right? Mikel said it time in, time out. We know what we need and we'll try to get it over the line. But trying is not enough. If you want to compete with the best, trying is not enough. United somehow got in Casemiro and Anthony. And for me, Anthony won the game. That goal scored by Anthony won the game for them. Because it just brought them a lot of confidence. Even when they were not in possession, they had something to defend. Right? And when they conceded, it was a lot of belief that we can get in behind this Arsenal defense and then, breach it and score goals. But then let's talk about these defenders. And let's be honest, guys. I love them. They're my boys. And I will never, at any point in time, come out and abuse my players because they've been absolutely fantastic for the better half of the season. But what is that? 3 goals conceded in the same way. 3 goals conceded in the same manner. Christian Eriksen, straight away man of the match. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Of course, it's the genius of Erik ten Hag. But I'm asking myself, the first goal is a ball round the back. Anthony gets it and he hits it into the back of the net. Fine, all right, we will give that to them. That's okay, right? That's fine. That is fucking okay. The second goal is the same way. It's the same way. You either have to, be brilliant at your offside trap. If you're playing that high line, you have to be absolutely brilliant with your offside trap. If not that, then you need to have a lot of pace, right? You need to have a lot of pace and better positioning. And in my opinion, we had nothing today. The pacing was absolutely ridiculous, absolutely below par. The positioning was absolutely ridiculous, absolute shambles. And then lastly, what I didn't agree with is the offside trap. Marcus Rashford is looking like prime Kylian Mbappe. He's beating the Arsenal, he's beating that Arsenal press, he's beating the Arsenal offside trap, and he's running at us, and there is nothing we can do. Because we think we have actually set a very good offside trap. Fuck off. It's one of the worst I've seen in football. So guys, honestly, United deserved 3 points tonight. They were absolutely, I don't want to say magnificent, but when a team comes and plays according to their game plan, executes their game plan well, and they have the ability to adjust when it is needed, that is what you call playing well, isn't it? That is what you call playing well. They had Scott McTominay in the middle of the park. I didn't see Arsenal trouble Scott McTominay. And that is one of the opportunities you get. You have to run at Scott McTominay. You have to cause moments of pressure for Scott McTominay. And it doesn't happen. It literally doesn't happen. So I think we were too flat. We were too predictable. We were fucking shambles. Right? United, well done. That is if they can continue like that, I think the first two defeats to Brentford and Brighton literally mean nothing. They literally mean nothing. They are so well organized. And Erik ten Hag, you can already see what he's trying to do. He has already implemented that kind of mark, the Erik ten Hag mark on that team. The way they defend, very solid. The way they attack, very solid. The midfield, very, very solid. And I think, look, I want to give a couple of positives to this Arsenal side, right? One, we played our game and we dominated them. But the difference, and I saw this against Manchester City against Aston Villa. There is a difference between dominating a game and causing threat at the same time, and dominating the game as the opponent creates threat for you or against you. That has happened on 2 games in this weekend. If you love football, City had to lose to Aston Villa, honestly. Liverpool had to lose to Everton, and Arsenal had to lose to Man United, and they have lost. The reason is, when you have the better share of the ball, you have to create chances. How many clear-cut chances can you count for Arsenal in that game? Man United, 3. Goals, 3. For Arsenal, Saka's, Odegaard's, Martinelli's chance on goal, which actually goes to the back of the net. I think I've run out. And that is the difference in this game. Right? Bury your chances. We've already talked about that. That's the song I'm not willing to sing for another season. Bury your chances. Take your chances. I don't want to sing that for another season. But when you have better possession, you must have the better chances. And if you don't have the better chances, the opponent will have a way to penetrate through you and they will score. And that's what Man United did. I think Erik ten Hag this season is... I just like the guy, probably. I just like the guy. Because for me, you remember I always told you, if Arteta gets sacked, get in Erik ten Hag. He's a better tactician. They played with a lot of confidence. And forget, I look at Arsenal. I'm still looking at the picture here. Arsenal having the ball, but it is revolving around outside the penalty area. They just kept us at an arm's length. And when a team does that, when a club does, keep you at an arm's length, literally there is nothing you're gonna do, unless you're gonna have these screamers, which we rarely score. But I remember Erik ten Hag speaking about it as well when we were going into the game in his pre-match interview. Look, he said, "We know what Arsenal are and we know what they can do. If you let them play the ball around, knock it around, they will hurt you." And that's what United have done. They've literally let Arsenal have possession, but with a lot of interruptions. That is one. And also, where do you get the possession? The game has not been played in the in the better half or in the final third of Man United, and that's what you do. If we play City and we let City have the ball all the time, and but we restrict City from our final third, that game could end 0-0, 1-0, or even we could actually win it. So I think we need to go back to the drawing board and find a way of getting a defensive midfielder in the next market. Find a way of getting a better central midfielder in the market. I don't know why Mikel is so deluded with Granit Xhaka. He's so obsessed with Xhaka. I don't think Xhaka is the reason as to why we lost today, but I think you need something different in the midfield. I'm looking at, you look at, the City club that we're trying to replicate. They have an Ike Gundogan, very creative guy, very clinical guy. They have a Phil Foden somewhere, very creative as well, and the Kevin De Bruyne, the most creative player in football currently. And that shows you that the source of chances, the source of goal scoring opportunities is actually high. The chance of them creating a chance per 90, actually per minute, is actually higher. But with this Arsenal side, if it is not Zinchenko, it is Odegaard. If it's not Odegaard, it's Martinelli and Saka. You're done. That is easy to defend. That is really easy to keep out. I think Saka had a very, very good game. We're going to agree. You will agree with me. And I said this in the preview. If you want to win this game, if you want to have a result in this game, Saka must be at his best. And he was. He literally was at his best today. He scored, and I think he really gave a lot of problems to Tyrell Malacia. A lot of problems. But the rest of the team, for me, let us down. We were beaten tactically, hands down by Erik ten Hag. He's a beast. He's an absolute beast. And this is not a quarter of the version of Man United that we are going to see. For me, they don't have a very good central midfielder. They don't have a good number 9. There's so many things they do not have. And when they get them, we will see a lot of better football from Man United. So they deserve the win, guys. They deserve the win. Arsenal, I'm only scared that the reality has come to bite us in the back this early. Because I thought, we don't have a defensive midfielder. 10 games in, we might be affected. But it has actually come back to bite us earlier than I thought. The next game is Everton. They have Idrissa Gana Gueye in that midfield. They have Tom Davies in that midfield. They have Amadou Onana in the midfield. Fucking champions. We wanted Onana. And that's what I'm talking about, guys. We were linked with, Amadou Onana. That guy cost Everton around 15 million euros. And honestly, there is no way Onana chooses Everton over Arsenal. And we didn't get him. Idrissa Gana Gueye as well. Those are signings just, put in there for security. We lack the depth. And without the depth you need, you cannot keep winning. You cannot keep picking up points. You cannot keep the high standards. And the standards today have dropped below far. But my last reaction point about this is, how do we react in the next game? It's Everton. They are really a big shambles. They can drop points. They can be very, very dangerous on the break as well, just like Man United. But they will be very, very desperate. So how do we react to the loss? Do we hold our heads down and then sob? Do we actually think about going into the next game picking up 3 points? We are on top of the table. There is some pressure on us, and I think this all fucking fallacy of Arsenal have 100% what it's over. It's fucking gone. Let the boys play football without any pressure. My name is Kosi. Follow me on Twitter, Kosi Arsenal, Instagram, Kosi_19. Subscribe to my YouTube podcast, 90 more, and Kosi Talks Football. I'll see you in the player ratings, and of course in the 6 things we learned, and in Mikel Arteta's press conference reaction. For now, bye-bye.